Good evening. I'm Siwapili Rose Amador, and this is Native Voice TV. Well, last week I promised you that we'd have Robert Greygrass back, and there he is. Welcome, Robert. Welcome back.
All right, thank you.
Magic. But I did promise you that he'd give us some storytelling, some comedy, and we have an audience for you. So, hey, audience. Woo. They're ready. Let's hit it.
Well, I'll see what I can do. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me back. Happy to be here. I think I'd like to just start off with some traditional stories. I'm not a traditional person per se, but I do my best to live in the traditions, you know, the way that we are as Native people. I was born and raised very urban, but I'll talk a little more about that later. But, you know, Iktomi is one of our main helpers, if you will. He's a trickster. He's kind of tricky to deal with. Iktomi, in a Lakota way, most people are familiar with Coyote. But for us, it's the Spider-Man. He's part human and part spider. And some people say he actually exists. Some say it's just something in our minds, that it's a smart foolishness of being human. And I know that he does exist. I've seen him. He's about that tall. He's all part spider and part human. He's got 8 legs and 8 arms and hair all over his body. And they say you have to be a little bit careful when you're talking about him. Years ago, or no, it was just last year, Dovey Thomason and I did a show in England, in London, and we did Iktomi stories. And we were in the green room and we were all excited and hey, we're going to tell Iktomi's in the house. And so they came to escort us to the stage and we're walking down the halls. Hey, Iktomi, this is going to be fun, Iktomi. And we stopped. Holy, we're asking Iktomi in the house. So we ran back to the green room and got some sweet grass and cedar and burned a little pinch of tobacco and kind of left a prayer, you know. And all the British people are looking at us and, whew, okay, good. Now we can go on and we should be covered. We'll see. Because you never know with a trickster. But Iktomi, he's smart, foolish, yeah? And he's always traveling around. He's always either too hungry or too horny. You can't quite tell what he's going to be up to. But this one time, Iktomi, he's walking along with his buddy, Flint Boy. And Flint Boy's made of stone. That's why he's got that name, Flint Boy. And they were walking along, and here a grizzly bear jumped out of the bushes, came right at him, and Iktomi, he was gone. Flint Boy, he pulled his milat, his knife, and he started fighting. And he killed that mato, just like that. And Iktomi looked out of the bushes. Whew. Hey, good one, Kola. That was good. In fact, Kola, you did so good. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to call you Misu, little brother. Yeah, you really made me proud. And Flint Boy's cutting up that bear. He said, I don't think so. Maybe I'll call you little brother. I killed the bear. Well, no matter. Don't argue. It's a really beautiful hide that's going to make a nice blanket on my bed, keep me warm. Flint Boy said, well, I don't think so. I killed this bear. It's going to keep me warm. No matter. Don't argue. Those are really good claws. Make a nice necklace I could trade for horses like that. I don't think so. I killed this grizzly bear. That's going to be a necklace for me. And he said, well, why are you always arguing you don't share? Well, how come you always button your nose in? Well, remember that last time when you didn't? Well, how come you were always late and I didn't and you didn't and he didn't? Oh, back and forth. They started arguing. Holy, didn't stop. Back and forth. He kept cutting up the bear. They built a fire, kept arguing. Yeah, and you should have been there that time, but you didn't. And your wife was supposed to. Yeah, and you stole the horses. And back and forth forever. You had some dinner, went to sleep. Woke up first thing. And how come that last time when I tried to find you and you weren't even around, you were supposed to build the fire and bring water? And they just packed up the grizzly bear and rolled it up in the hide and kept walking, arguing back and forth. Finally, just out of the blue, Iktomi says, well, no matter. Kola, be my friend. Flint Boy said, at last. Good. And they walked along in silence. So they came up to these ponds, and Iktomi went up to the edge of the pond, and he looked down in there. He said, Kola, look at this big horan, this big fish down here. And Flint Boy came up and stood right by the edge of the pond. And Iktomi said, look. And he pushed him right in the water. And Flint Boy, he's made of stone. And so he just sunk. He went right to the bottom and stayed there. And so they say now that's why when you go up to a pond and all those bubbles are coming up from the bottom of the pond, it's Flint Boy cussing at Iktomi for pushing him into the bottom of the pond and stealing his bear hide. Because Iktomi picked up that bear hide and he walked off to find some more adventure. Yeah, he was walking along. He had that really good, warm bear hide. It's keeping him cozy warm. Well, he got hungry. I mean, Iktomi, he's always too hungry. Didn't know what he was going to do. Getting cold, he had that bear hide, but he remembered there was a standing stone nearby. So he walked toward that standing stone, because wherever there are stones that are a certain way, you can tell. When you see a standing stone, just so, it's a sacred place. You go there and pray, you make an offering, and your prayers will be answered. And he remembered there was aaay, a standing stone, somewhere nearby. So he walked until he found that stone. He got up to him close and he prayed, "Hey, grandfather, I'm cold and I'm hungry. Wota, I want some food. I want chi. I'm really hungry. I have nothing to give you but this hide." And he put that bear hide up around that stone. And "Thank you, grandfather. I know my prayer will be answered." And he walked off. And he walked for a little bit, and he came over a little rise, and sure enough, here was a deer with an arrow in its neck. And he looked around, didn't see any humans. Oh, that standing stone grandfather, he must have let those humans shoot this deer, and then he escaped and came here for me. He gave me this meat, takcha, good food, yeah. So he started trying to cut it up, but his hands were so cold he could hardly hang on to his knife. And so he tried to build a fire, a little peta, and he couldn't do that. His hands were cold, so he went back and tried to cut up the deer. And, geez, it's so cold and achy, and he thought, what does a stone need with a grizzly bear hide? He feels nothing. And he ran back to where that standing stone was, and he said, "Grandfather, I'm so cold. I'm trying to eat, and you feel nothing, and I'm cold. I'm just a pitiful person." And he took the hide back. He took back his gift. And he went back to where his deer was. It was gone. Nothing. No bones, nothing, not even an impression in the ground, as if it had not even been there. And he told me, he said, "Grandfather, that was cruel of you to take my deer, my meat away from me. And it was dumb of me. I should have ate the meat and then got my grizzly bear hide back." And he walked off to find more adventure. Never take back a gift.
But you'll have to come back again and do
Love
the
to.
kiddie version.
Yeah.
But wasn't he wonderful?
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I want to thank our audience for being here too. They came back 2 weeks in a row. Yeah. And thank you for joining us at Native Voice TV. We're on every Sunday at 6 o'clock. Make sure you tune in, or you might want to come join our studio audience. It's going to get bigger and bigger, and then we'll take over slot, and then it's all over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The network, syndicate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Good night.
The turtle continent was never meant to be bought and sold. And so the story goes. Nobody understands how an invisible man could control our lives and control our minds. Without a conscience, there is no guilt, and it tears at the fibers of our